the missing piece of spiritual awakening and why your nervous system holds the key to freedom. Part 1. Welcome back, beautiful souls. Whether this is your first time here or you've been walking beside me for a while, I want to thank you for being here. I never take your presence for granted. If you found your way to this video, I don't believe it's by accident. Perhaps you're searching for answers. Perhaps you're exhausted. Perhaps you've got and had experiences you cannot explain. Or maybe you've begun to question everything you've ever believed about yourself, your life, and even God. If that's where you are today, I want you to know something before we begin. You're not alone, and more importantly, you're not broken. For years, many people have been told that if they were anxious or feeling emotionally overwhelmed, unusually sensitive or disconnected from the world or profoundly changed after a traumatic season of life, that something must be wrong with them. But what if those experiences are not signs of failure? What if they're invitations? What if your nervous system has been carrying burdens that your soul has never meant to carry? Today I want to explore what I believe is one of the most misunderstood aspects about spiritual awakening. Not visions, not mystical experiences, not psychic gifts, not signs and synchronicity. While those things do happen for many people, and they may not happen for others. Instead, I want to talk about something every human being possesses. Your nervous system. Because if your nervous system does not feel safe, it becomes incredibly difficult to experience peace, presence, love, or even fear that quiets that inner voice and gives you inner wisdom like so many traditions describe. For decades, I worked in healthcare. I witnessed people during some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives. I saw fear, pain, grief, unexpected miracles, and I learned something profound. The human body remembers. Even when the conscious mind forgets, the body remembers. And as a nurse, I learned anatomy, physiology, and emergency medicine. Later in life, my path expanded into Reiki and contemplative spiritual practice. And for many years, I thought those were two separate worlds. Science on one side, spirit on the other. But over time, I discovered something quite beautiful. Truth has no fear of truth. Science is not threatened by genuine spirituality. Authentic spirituality is not threatened by honest science. They simply describe different dimensions of the same human experience. One speaks the language of biology, the other speaks the language of meaning, and together they help us to understand why healing is so much deeper than just simply changing our thoughts. Many people are taught that awakening means becoming more spiritual. I don't think that's the whole story. I believe awakening is remembering who you were before fear convinced you to become someone else. Think about that for a moment. Before life wounded you, before rejection taught you to hide, before criticism convinced you to stay quiet, before betrayal made you question your own intuition, who were you? Children naturally move towards curiosity, connection, creativity, and wonder. Yet painful experiences can teach us to protect ourselves in ways that we once were adaptive to and later in life become very limiting to us. And when we experience repeated stress or trauma, our nervous system learns. It learns what feels dangerous. It learns what feels unpredictable. It learns how to survive. And survival is not weakness. Survival is wisdom. And if your nervous system became hyper alert because life required it, it was doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem begins when survival becomes our permanent address. Many people are living every day in survival mode without even realizing it. They wake up already tired. They feel responsible for everyone's emotions. They overthink every conversation, and they struggle to relax. Silence feels uncomfortable, rest feels undeserved, and they apologize for existing. They mistake exhaustion for productivity. They believe they must earn love instead of receiving it. So if that sounds familiar, please hear me carefully. You are not failing at life. Your nervous system simply was doing what it learned to do years ago. And this understanding transformed how I viewed healing. Healing is not about becoming someone new. Healing is about gently teaching your nervous system that the danger has passed, that it is not an overnight process. It requires patience, compassion, and consistency, and often support from trusted people. Now, I want to pause and I want to speak to something I hear often. Many people say, I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't recognize myself anymore. I don't fit into my old life. I've lost interest in things I once loved. Sometimes these experiences can be part of a major life transition, grief, burnout, or spiritual exploration. They can also have medical or psychological causes. If these changes are sudden, severe, or interfering with your safety or your daily function, it's really important to speak to qualified healthcare professionals. Seeking help is not lack of faith, it is an act of wisdom. For others, there comes a quieter realization, right? The life that once fit no longer does. The mask becomes too heavy for them to wear, and the contrast of the constant performance becomes exhausting to them. You begin asking yourself deeper questions. Who am I beneath all these roles? What matters? What is love? What is truth? Who am I here? These questions are ancient. Every wisdom tradition has wrestled with them. In my own life, I discovered that awakening was not about accumulating more spiritual knowledge. It was about becoming honest about my fears, honest about my wounds, honest about my longing to belong, honest about the ways I had learned to abandon myself in order to feel accepted. And that honesty did not weaken me, it liberated me. And this is where I believe many people misunderstand awakenings. They expect awakenings to feel like constant bliss, but often before peace arrives, awareness arrives, and awareness can be uncomfortable. You begin seeing patterns you couldn't see before. You notice how often fear has been making your decisions for you. You recognize relationships built on obligation instead of love, and you realize how frequently your body has been carrying signals that something isn't right. Awareness is not punishment. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. As Carl Jung famously observed, he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That insight speaks to an importance of becoming aware of the hidden patterns that shape our choices. My own spiritual understanding adds layers, and awareness grows. And as I'm invited not only to see those patterns, but to meet them with compassion rather than condemnation. Compassion is not weakness. Compassion is courage. It allows us to tell the truth without attacking ourselves. And perhaps that is where real transformation begins. So before we continue this journey together, I want to ask you one simple question. What if you stopped asking what's wrong with me and started asking, what has my nervous system been trying to protect me from? That single question has power to change everything. Because when we stop treating ourselves as enemies, healing finally has room to begin. So in the next part of this teaching, we're going to explore why trauma, chronic stress, and childhood conditioning shape the nervous system so profoundly, why so many empaths live with survival mode without even realizing it, and to learn how to feel safe again and to become one of the most deeply spiritual journeys that you walk in your life. Until then, next time, namaste, everyone. Namaste.